Hello mga alamat! In this video, titignan po natin ang mga requested stocks ninyo tulad ng Jollibee, DNL at URC. Are you guys ready? Let's go! So let's start off with Megaworld, no? Now, itong Megaworld, sabi nga natin noon, umangat siya. Umabot siya dito sa next level of resistance at 2.32 and so far, nag-hold yung level na yon, 'di ba? Pero bago tayo umabot doon, nag-range tayo dito sa glit, nagkaroon tayo ng breakout to the upside, 'di ba? Which eventually pushed us to this level that we discussed. So, given all of that, ano yung mga potential scenarios na tinitingnan natin dito sa Megaworld? Number one, of course, the possibility exists na baka mag-range muna tayo between 2.14 hanggang mga 2.32. It's not the greatest of ranges, pero wala yun yung binibigay sa atin. Another scenario, of course, is baka mabasag to the upside. We break above 2.32 and we start pushing, either mag-fill yung gap or baka balikan natin tong level na to at 2.46. All that being said, again, the bigger picture is downtrend pa rin tayo. Ito yung last na swing low, 'di ba? Prior to this one, ito yung lower high. So ito yung lower low mo. So the possibility is still exists na kahit medyo tumutulak to pataas, baka mag-form lang tayo ng lower high and from there, we see a deeper push dito sa MEG, no? Syempre ayaw naman natin sana makita yon, pero maganda ng handa tayo para sa lahat ng potential scenarios. Now, kung from here price breaks down, takes out yung 2.14 altogether, baka mag-range tayo muna between 1.98 hanggang 2.14. Pero once 1.98 gets taken out, then the likely scenario is we revisit tong support na nandito at 1.86. Now, if you're wondering saan galing yung 1.86 na yan, let's zoom out, no? Siya itong low na to, yung pandemic low natin. So, if 1.98, 1.90 something gets taken out, it wouldn't surprise me kung yan na yung next na support na ma-revisit natin. Whether or not it holds, syempre remains to be seen. But for now, tignan natin how MEG will behave, no? Sana yung sa PSE medyo magkaroon lang ng slight pullback tapos mag-continue yung move. But syempre, we never know. And sana kung magpatuloy yung move na yon, madamay na tong MEG. Pero kung kunwari, you're looking at it right now to see whether or not there's a trade to be had, para sa akin medyo nasa alanganing pwesto pa siya. So siguro konting patience muna. Let's wait for it to set up properly before we jump in dito sa Megaworld. Next, let's talk about tong DNL, no? Now, itong DNL, 'di ba, previously nag-push tayo dito, went lower, 'di ba? It came down to this support here. That support was at 6.42. We push back higher, more or less na untog din tayo dito sa area of supply na to. Bumitin ng konti, push lower, so hindi naagulat na yung current push natin nakahanap na naman tayo ng reaction sa area na to. 'Di ba? Kasi kung titingnan natin, ito yung last little area prior to it falling. Tapos dito, doon din tayo nagkaroon ng consolidation bago tuluyang bumaba yung price. Now, ano yung mga potential scenarios that we can look at dito sa DNL? Una, the possibility exists na nagpo-form tayo ng very wide na range dito, no? Now, whether or not that entire range will be tradable, hindi ko masabi. As you guys know, I prefer to segment my ranges, and if I do range trade, I prefer to trade within those segments. Para sa akin, mas madali lang, mas hindi masakit sa ulo. Okay? Pero in this particular scenario, yung mga segments natin parang medyo nag-aalangan na ako Kasi ilang beses na rin sila nauntog, plus hindi rin sila gano'n nalalayo sa isa't isa, making a good risk-reward trade hard to find dito sa DNL, no? Now, what do I want to see? Maganda sana kung kunwari from here we actually take out yung 8 peso area na. If we can close above tong 8.04, then that opens up this range above. Mas malaki yung pwede natin paglaruan, kung baga. Pero while it stays beneath it, 'di ba? I have to adhere to yung conclusion ko na yun nga, baka magpo-form lang tayo ng malaking range dito. And when we actually break out of that range, number one, di natin alam. Number two, that would be a good thing. Kasi, kumbaga matagal bumuelo yung price bago tayo tumuloy 'Di ba? So hopefully, kung mag-present yung ganong opportunity, mabigyan tayo ng pagkakataon para i-trade siya. For now, I guess the possibility exists din na parang pwede siyang mag-inverse head and shoulders dito. So I say that kasi usually kapag may nag-request sa akin, I try to see what they're seeing din para ma-analyze ko ng mabuti, di ba? Kasi despite the fact na nakiusap ako ng maraming beses, hindi talaga ako napagbibigyan na mine-mention din kung bakit request ang isang particular stock. So sometimes medyo nanguhula din ako, no? So even though the possibility exists na magkaroon nga ng inverse head and shoulders, I would argue na it's not in a very good area to begin with. So I wouldn't put a lot of weight dun sa pattern na yon kasi nga I don't feel like from a contextual standpoint na okay siya. Now, kung kunwari tuluyan nga itong bumaba, let's say bumalik tayo sa range na to, we have to be careful and watch kung anong mangyayari pagbalik niya sa support. Kung nabasag altogether tong 6.40 something na level, then this likely digs much deeper. Baka balikan na natin tong previous areas of highs na to from before, 'di ba? Kung nabasag pa yon. And then from there, we'll have to wait and see what happens next before we can reassess tong DNL. Next, silipin naman natin tong Jollibee, no? Now, tong Jollibee, as we discussed before, I think we were talking about this around here. Sabi ko kahit na mabasag tong 252 na level, meron pa rin tayong resistance dito at 259, 'di ba? Na kailangan basagin, and unfortunately, hindi nangyari 'yon, no? Parang nauntog tayo doon and then we push lower. Right now, if you ask me to make a read kung bullish pa ba or hindi yung Jollibee, I would say na medyo neutral pa rin eh. Yes, it's good na we're holding dito sa taas. Yes, it's good na it's looking like we might actually eventually break above tong 259.8. Pero until that actually happens, it's hard to say na, o sige dapat all in na, o sige dapat pasok na, or what have you. Kasi parang nasa alanganin yung pwesto eh. Even if you wanted to buy within this area, saan mo lalagay yung stop mo? I would argue na kailangan sa baba nitong mga lows na to, di ba? And if you take into consideration na yung resistance nandito na, the likelihood na makakakuha ka ng risk-reward na maganda na type of trade, medyo parang mahirap yata. Okay? It's good na nag-pull back, it's good na nagkaroon na reaction, but honestly, when I look at this chart, diba? Yes, I see my levels. Yes, I see possible places where price could react from. But other than that, I just don't see a very strong bias based on how I trade. Now, I understand na other people want to buy Jollibee kasi syempre gusto nilang hawakan ng pangmatagalan, no? Pag ganon, syempre iba yung usapan. If Jollibee pulls back into an area na kino-consider nyo as a value area, like we discussed all the way from here hanggang dito, di ba? Ilang beses natin pinag-usapan tong Jollibee. Then of course, by all means, you execute, di ba? You follow your plan and you trade your plan, no? Pero where it is right now, simply isn't very appealing para sa akin. I want to see more confirmation one way or the other before I make up my mind dito sa Jollibee. Next, tignan natin tong URC. Now, tong URC, after we broke above tong level at 130, we have more or less consolidated above it. And then today, we started seeing a push to the upside, like parang gustong i-revisit nung price etong area of resistance na to between 141.2 hanggang 142.8. Okay, kung mabasag tong area na to, then that opens up this range above. Baka abutin natin yung 150.8 from there. Pero for now, 'di ba? Dito yung next na potential untog niya. What we don't want to see from here, since we pushed to a new high, is for price to come down and actually take out this small swing low around 128. Let's say something like this happens. Breakdown, test sa ilalim, mag-hold, then roll over. Number one, potentially magpo-form tayo ng head and shoulders pattern dito, no? And since we have been pushing to the upside, from a contextual standpoint, medyo may validity yung pattern para sa akin. 'Di ba? Kapag nag-form siya ng head and shoulders. Number two, kahit na ayaw nyo tignan yung pattern na yun, kahit na hindi kayo agree, that's okay. We can assume na if this happens, baka bumalik tayo sa range na to between 118.5 hanggang 130. And if 118.5 breaks, yung next level of support natin will be at 108.1 na. Okay? Now, kung meron kayong URC, just make sure you follow your plan, you trail your stops accordingly. Lalo na kung nakabili kayo sa pullback somewhere here, Diba? Good for you. Pero kung wala pa, I wouldn't go about na hahabol where we currently are. Kasi yun nga mahirap tansyahin saan magandang maglagay ng stop. Plus, yung next level na pwede niyang abutin or next area is right there na. So I would be careful of trying to habol or mafo-FOMO dito sa URC simply because yung potential untog niya is right there. Diba? That's despite the fact na whether or not tumaas yung PSEI ulit or hindi, I would still be wary because yung PSEI, yung index, guidance yan eh. At the end of the day, you still trade the chart you see rather than the chart you want to see. And then finally, tignan po natin tong Macroasia or MAC, no? Now, tong MAC, nagkaroon tayo ng push to the upside dito, 'di ba? Price came up, tapos ganon, binawi yung inefficient move natin, pero inefficient move din yung ginawa. So ano nangyari? Binawi na naman pa kabila, no? Sometimes kapag ganito, it's really very hard to trade kasi hindi malinis yung price action eh. It's harder to read. Diba? Lalo na kung kunwari you're trying to time your entry well, kung saan ka pwedeng pumasok kapag ganitong medyo mas marumi yung price action. May iwan na gap dito, may iwan na gap dyan, things like that, no? But ano yung mga potential scenarios that we can watch out for dito sa Macroasia moving forward? Number one, maaaring mag-range muna tayo dito between 5.03 hanggang 5.54, and where we are right now, essentially, binisit natin yung support. Okay? Now, habang nasa loob tayo ng range na to, syempre ina-expect natin na yung potential resistance will be at 5.54. But we can see na itong maliit na swing high na to, di ba? Diyan din nauntog yung price more or less on its first attempt to move to the upside. Now, if kayang mag-hold nitong 5.03, then hopefully from here, we can start pushing and challenging itong resistance level at 5.54. If 5.54 breaks, then that opens up this area here, and yung next resistance level natin will now be at 5.9. Pero kung kunwari naman, let's say from here, we pull back, number one, I wouldn't panic too much, not because hindi na siya bearish or whatever, it's just that mahirap tansyahin saan mo lalagay yung stop mo eh. Meron kang malaking gap na naiwan dito, so you want to assume na kung bumalik yung price dyan, baka pwedeng mag-hold eh. So you need your stop to be beneath that. Diba? If linagay mo dito, parang sobrang tight, plus you'll be right above itong cluster of highs na to. So you need to go lower than that pa. So medyo malayo yung pwedeng puntahan ng stop, no? Kaya medyo alanganin. But what we don't want to see is for price to come down, take out this gap, go beneath it, test it from underneath, tas itong gap na dapat ine-expect natin na mag-hold as support, all of a sudden, mag-act na as resistance. If that happens, then the likelihood of price revisiting 4.45 increases, and if 4.45 breaks, then baka balikan natin yung mga lows na naiwan natin dito from before. Okay? But, again, I am not entirely sure why this was requested. I mean, I guess kasi it did push to the upside. Pero kung may hawak na kayo, be sure lang, trail your stops, follow your plan. Kung wala pa, for me, mahirap humabol kasi nga, alanganin yung pwesto ng stop kumbaga, in comparison to where that level of resistance is. If I want my stop beneath 4.7, so somewhere, di ba, around this area, ang layo eh, di ba? Parang 4.3, 4.4 yung stop ko. Tapos yung next na pwede ko pag-untugan na sa 5.54, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Siguro pwede nyo tingnan kung kunwari, parang mang-trap tayo, price falls beneath 5, immediately retakes it, then starts trading above it. Then baka trap lang yon, and then we come back and trade within this range, parang mabubuhay ulit yung possibility na mabalikan yung 5.54. Okay, but other than that, I'm not really seeing a lot dito sa MAC. Yes, it's good that it's pushing higher, but what I want to say from an overall structure standpoint, I guess pwede rin natin sabihin na nag-form tayo ng higher low dito, diba? But I don't know, it's just where it currently is. Mahirap siyang habulin, mahirap siyang pilitin. So I would rather be patient and wait for a specific setup that catches my eye. Tas kapag wala, edi I just simply stand aside and miss the potential trade altogether. Okay? So guys, before we go, if you haven't seen yung technical indicator review or ranking video natin be sure to check it out, no? The link for that video should be coming out somewhere on the lower left-hand side of your screen. Okay? And as always, guys, good luck in all your trades. GT, over and out.